all in one, two in one, two and two, and one and two. The one and two is usually the most difficult because you have to go all the way down the canal and then make sure that you don't hurt and separately and carefully instrument both. You need to know this. This usually happens for mandibular premolars. Almost always, maxillary, central incisor has how many canals? One, the bilateral canals. Can someone leave the light? The maxillary canine usually has almost always one canal. Very rarely, this is like the rare stuff. Maxillary first premolar. This is a review for your national award. Almost always has how many canals? Two. Very good. 5% of times it has 3 canals. Maxillary first premolar. But you almost have to expect the 2 canals. It has a medial imagination, which you have to respect. This is a maxillary second premolar with 3 canals. That happens 1% of times. 50% of times it has 2 canals. I'm going home fast because this is review for you. Mandibular incisors almost always has a PSM. Sorry.
What's the difference between a foramina and an orifice?
Okay. What is orifice? On the top, foramina on the bottom. Any other questions? Mandibular incisors, people think these are easy teeth. They are not. Anywhere like within 20% of times. I think you need to know not the percentage, but what's the, you need to have an idea of 20, 24, 28, it has 2 canals. We're in the apex. These are not easy to chew because they're skinny too. It's easy to hurt. You need to know this mandibular first, second premolar. It has high prevalence of having 2 canals depending on ethnicity. If you look here, it's almost 3 times as much. The first premolar, 30% of times has 2 canals. For the African Americans, 13% for Caucasians, 2 canals. Second premolar, about 7.8. So it looks like almost ratio of 3. The residents need to know that, but all you need to know is that it happens frequently. So you better look for it. How does it happen? It could be this anatomy, but usually it's, again, 1 to 2. This anatomy looks like 1 to 2 to 1. What usually happens is 1 canal that divides into 2. It splits in the apical third. Sometimes it could have a C-shaped anatomy. Very difficult to treat. some clinical cases. Okay, any questions for anatomy? Little fast review, okay. Mandibular, yes, sir.
On the X-ray, especially with the molar, I'm having a hard time for the legal so I can see all of it now at once. Because they get in the way of each other.
Yes, if you take straight on picture, it looks like one canal, so you have to take a chef shot. You have to, an X-ray is nothing but a shadow. But, so you have to take a different angle to appreciate the other canals and what's still to be calm. Any other questions? Mandibular molar. You almost always have that mesial invagination which people don't respect and they find themselves in the red dot club. It's an embarrassing situation when it happens. So mesial invagination for the mandibular molars is very important, especially for clinicians who would like to put posts. Probably the distal canal would be a better tooth. About 24% of times it has 4 canals. I don't know if you have to know that, but do you have to know these things for dental anatomy? Yeah, so I thought so. You don't need to know the authors, obviously, but in Asian population, they have also an extra root, about 20% of time, the distal lingual root. You don't need to know that. The residents. Any questions up to this one? So, about 2/3 of time, this tooth has 2 mesial canals and 1 distal. So that's about what? 33% has 4 canals? No, it's about less than that, about 24%. Very rarely it has just 2 canals. And that's how it looks like. The shape is somewhat rectangular to trapezoidal, whatever. Usually the distal canals are much closer together. This is a C-shaped canal, which means the tooth looks like all the canals have a network of communication with each other from top to bottom. This happens mostly in Asian population, like 8%. And mostly for second mandibular molar, but it could be seen for mandibular molar too, at first molar. Sometimes we have a 3rd mesial canal. I think this happens because developmentally, the tooth probably lays down more dentin, but it's our job to make sure we clean it. And that happens anywhere from 10 to 16%. So, one thing you may want to know, the difference between first and second molar, as the roots are getting closer, going distally, mandibular first molar, they have 4 canals, anywhere 4th to a 3rd, and mandibular second molar has 4 canals, maybe about 5%. I think you need to know this information. Shorter root, maybe there's something here that you should know. Mesial distal roots are closer together, more fusion of the roots. The lengths you don't need to know. So yeah, they have 4 canals, about 5%. Again, C-shaped anatomy. How do I know it's C-shaped? Because the tooth is conical. Any question, mandibular molars? Okay. Maxillary molar, this is probably the tooth that has been mostly misunderstood. People have studied this tooth for half a century. And the problem with this tooth is it has 2 mesial-buccal canals, MB1, MB2. You don't need to know this. This is for residents. It has sometimes second palatal canal. People ask, why don't we root canal all the way to the apex? Well, we don't do that because of this anatomy. I want you to appreciate how if you go to the apex, you go all the way to the cementum where you have, this is the widest portion of the tooth. The smallest portion is right here. The distance from here to here varies like 0.59 on average according to cut. So that's why nobody knows where the cementum is first laid down. This is an estimation. So that's why if you instrument to the apex as your classmates show, you're over instrument. So you want to be about 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter from the radiographic apex because of the tooth anatomy. So this is Dr. Cutler. With age, there is more deposition of the cementum. So the length can be more than 5. It could be 2 millimeters. You don't need to know this article. This is again for residents. And there is a range, but the distance is again Cutler says 0.59, Birch and Hewlin. This distance can be up to 2 millimeters. So we don't like to be 2 millimeters short because average person is 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter. That's why we use that number. Any questions? The most important thing for endo is isolation. It's not microscope, it's not fancy rotary, but isolation with rubber dam is the standard of care. I hate to say it, there was a publication, February 2013. I'm even embarrassed to report it. More than half the dentists don't use rubber dam, and they admit it. So I think that's malfeasance, doing harm. But at least they were honest, I don't know what to say. On the examination report, if you don't have isolation, I think it's automatic failure. The first lecture we talked a little bit about isolation or clamps. These are common clamps, and that's what you have. I have number 14 for molars, but there are all sorts of different shapes and forms for partially erupted or subgingival, all sorts of clamps. And, how to best isolate to get rid of saliva if you can't do it. There are other material that can help you, like oral seal, or you could use some cabbage. People get very creative. And this is wedget. I love this material. So as long as you get your isolation and you document in the chart, because someone could look at the radiograph and say they didn't use any clamp, they didn't use isolation. But you could document that you did, and it was radiolucent because it was plastic. But I always document it. And you should do. Any questions for that? I think there's one or two questions on isolation. Okay, access. A lot of you ask me, perfing at the apex is not called perfing. You can transport, you zip it, we ledge, and gouging is something that you remove too much material in the coronal section of that people. And perf is like destroying the tooth structure. All these things are bad and automatic failure for any exam. It's easy to look at the plastic tooth and judge it because we take it out and look at it. But in a real tooth, did you really transport? Nobody knows. So I think in some ways, these plastic teeth are more difficult because all the mistakes show. Am I going too fast? I'm sorry guys, I'm not really 100% today, but if you have a question, let me know. Okay. About the shape of the axis, you must know. What shape is this? I can't do this. Somewhat triangular. Someone would say, the trapezoidal here. Yeah, but this is what? This is your AB2. It's about a millimeter mesial and palatal. And what shape is that for mandibular molar? Somewhat rectangular, I would say. Even for this, you still have to make sure there's no other canal, so you have to extend it. So what is that, trapezoidal, rectangular, that kind of shape. So you know this, argumentarian, access. Microscope is a position statement. It's not standard of care. It's like best clinical practice. You should have it. You don't have it, you're not practicing below the standard. These are some reviews from the first lecture. Removing the de-roofing, removing the excess dentin, so you have direct access to the canals. This is a common problem. The access is too small, the tooth is not de-roofed. Unfortunately, that's failure. Can you guys appreciate where the tooth is not de-roofed on both pictures? Yes? Who can't see it? Everyone can see it? Okay, you have to remove all decay and assess restorability before you send the case to endodontics. Why is that? Well, here's a simple case. If I can't, I could do root canal for you, but if you can't successfully seal the coronal section, then the tooth is no good. So everyone gets upset. And just because you could see an axis radiographically, it doesn't mean you could find it clinically. Here's an example, or some examples. What is the problem on this tooth, number 8? Anybody? You think that's an easy root canal? Well, yes. Why is it hard? That's right. Did everybody hear what she said? You have to say it loud. The tooth is calcified. Boy, I think you're going to do root canal this tooth without. Wait, you would like to do a root canal on number 9, right? You open it up, you fall into the canal. You love that. That's a good feeling. But number 8 is a mess. You have to kind of look for this. Same thing on the tooth next to it. The canal is receded. Pulp is receded. Why? Because of tertiary dentin. Again, why? Well, because of decay, but in that case, it's because of perio. So it's very easy to perf these teeth. Very easy. Even I could perf them, okay? So it's not, I'm not infallible. Anyone can. We talked about access opening for all these teeth. You should know the shapes. I don't remember how many questions are on access, but there's some. Okay, we talked about removing extra dentin so you can do your job, deroofing. Orientation is key. Most common area to perf is the buccal. I have never seen a lingual perforation of central and maxillary central incisors. When in doubt, go lingual. There is a little thing here. The outside anatomy, if you look here, dictates the inside anatomy. And we're going to see that again and again. Aerial axis, again, not lining up with the long axis of the tooth. And it's not hard to do. These are all because not lining up with long axis of the tooth, and sometimes we find ourselves in trouble, and if you do, then you find the canal. I'm trying to remember if there is a question here. I don't remember if there's a question on this, but there's one question on kind of putting teeth in order of having the highest numbers of canals to the lowest. Going back to the long axis of the outline inside is dictated by outline outside. You could see it in all these teeth. Again, discussing the roofing in this picture. I think there's a question here, maybe. How do I know if a tooth has more than one canal? Well, if you find one canal, two buccal or two lingual, you could look for the other. Then there's something else in that tooth. Does that make sense? But here, you just find this one canal over there. It's not centered, then you should look for the other canal.
obviously first premolar that you already know has at least 2 canals. Common problems with maxillary premolar, first premolar, other than not deroofing is mediocre. Okay, we talked about this. Usually maxillary second premolar has 2 canals, 50%. So I almost always look for that other canal. But if it's dead center, I'm feeling more confident. Again, 3 canals, 1%. Okay. This is exactly your dental anatomy stuff. Mandibular first premolar usually has 1 canal, but sometimes 20% or so. You could have 2 canals, 0.5% 3 canals. Second premolar, the percentage is a little less for 2 canals and 3 canals, the same. Common problems, not lining up with the long axis of the tooth. Okay, now maxillary molar. This is your competency for access only. So you're doing number 8, root canal treatment, and number 14, access only. You don't have to instrument the canals, but you do have to deroof the tooth. So even though this tooth has 4 canals, almost always, whether clinically I can find it is a different story. But as an endodontist, I have an obligation to look for it and trough for it, make sure I exhausted my armamentarium and make sure that I've done everything to locate it. In vivo studies are obviously different than in vitro. So in vitro studies all said that they all had 4 canals. Again, whether you can find it clinically is a different story.
Doctor,
Sir, what?
there's a 4th canal, but you don't find it. What do you do?
If
If you have a 4th canal, you don't find it.
well, I document. The question was, what do you do if you can't find it? Well, that happens obviously a lot, and whoever says I find it 100% of times, I don't care what endodontist says it, they're full of it, because they don't. So, I do everything I can to locate it, and if I don't, I document that, troughed with ultrasonic, microscope, and I don't like perk the tooth to find it. When some of these in vitro studies that you look, like Kulil and his colleagues, that was the study that basically said 98% of these teeth have 4 canals. I'm saying it because Dr. Jane knows it. That he had to first look at them with microscope and grind these teeth down. That's not clinically possible. I could find it for you too if I grind the tooth down, not perfect everywhere. So if I can't find it, I document that I did everything I could, short of perforation, to look at the canal, and I put the patient on watch. They have a problem, we'll do the surgery. What's the surgery? I just go from the bottom of the tooth and make it shorter and put a retrofill in the root. So you have to obviously get it flat and switch it and all that stuff. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Sure. Oh, I just want to say something. This is all these errors in maxillary molar access is common things that I see people doing, and they're all automatic failure. What's the problem on the upper left?
Add something to that
Yes, sir.
answer.
Yes, sir.
Because if you see a fourth canal, and as a general practitioner, you don't find it, send it to your endodontist,
That's true.
okay? If you see a fourth canal on the x-ray, it's there. And if you're not finding it, send it to the endodontist, because the endodontist has a microscope, and they're highly trained in finding these things. If they don't find it, that's a different story. But remember, your health is the same as the endodontist's health.
That's a really good point. I exhaust my armamentaria, I don't know any general dentist who bought a $50,000
So
microscope,
they do it for restoring, they don't have an endodontist.
which is different. And, right, you have to really do everything you can short of perforation as an endodontist. As a general dentist, yeah, you can't find it, you should send it out. These problems on this picture are common issues that I see for your competency. And the most common one is actually the one on the left side. What's the problem on that? I can't hear you. I think my ears are plugged today.
Very acoustic.
It's all good. What do you think? What's the problem on the other leg? If you can't see this, you're in trouble. But we pay attention, this is very important. Is this tooth deroofed? No, it's not deroofed. What's the problem? All that dentin in between, this guy just accessed the top parts. Yeah? Common problem. So it looks like, if you do that, it looks like the picture on the bottom of that left side. I think I have another picture. And this is a calcified tooth. This is difficult tooth, but you need ultrasonic and microscope to access this better. I do have another picture for you, so we'll get there. Yeah. Oh, I have something. Okay, you have to see now. Go ahead.
So you want to do the top part, now what do you do? Let's go back.
Okay, so Darwin, how do you fix this?
Did we access the top part? Yeah, so what do we do now that I'm stopping you?
And deal this. I like to say this down, but yeah, deal with it. Put your energy, get rid of all that unwanted debt. You're home. As your classmate beautifully pointed out last week, be careful with that skinny endoscope. If you put too much pressure, it could get stuck in there. So I like the fat guy. The fat endoscope doesn't get stuck as much for me. Any questions? That was good. Sorry. Okay, so we talked about access mandibular molar, deroofing that tooth. Yeah, these are little recaps. I'm not gonna, I don't remember if this is a question. Definitely for residents. So depending who you read, the 4 canals, I mean, these numbers are a range. But you better always look for that 4 canal for that mandibular first molar. The second molar, not as much, but better look for it. Again, as you can appreciate, the 2 canals are very rare. We talked about if you go to the hub of the bird, you're usually in the pulp chamber. This is the picture I wanted to show you. What is this picture showing you? Not exactly, who's that? It's not de-roofed. Where is it not de-roofed? So this guy, this is a picture how the bird access the chamber, but we didn't remove all the dentin to the mesial and distal. Can you all see that? Here and here.
These all have to go.
I gotta tell you, when people say, oh, my axis is so small and I'm conservative, well, all that junk and pulpal necrotic tissue is underneath those shelves when you don't make your axis big enough. It's not a good thing. So now this is open. You know what, I'm gonna make a question on final on this because every year I say I'm gonna do it and I forget. There are 3 rules that govern where the pulp is. First of all, the CEJ is the most common area and the most predictable area where you can, the center of the tooth is where it should be. So that is the law of centrality. So if I can't find the canal of a tooth, I remove the rubber dam, I put my finger where the CEJ is, and that governs where the chamber should have been. The second one is the law of concentricity, which means the outside anatomy dictates the inside anatomy and vice versa. And pulp is always in the center of the tooth. Let's look at these pictures. Okay, the pulp is always in the center, and neurologically, morphologically. The outside anatomy dictates inside anatomy and vice versa. Notice the difference in color between the pulp chamber and dentin. Dentin is never this white, dentin is white and then the pulp chamber is never that white. So if you're going to that line, it's not, you've gone too far, usually buccal or facial. And the CEJ is the most predictable area. Look confusing? Any questions? This is the case of maxillary central incisor where it looks like internal resorption. When you look at this tooth, the inner anatomy is all eaten up. So it needs a root canal. Picture of the maxillary second premolar. The crowns always mask the anatomy of the tooth because they exaggerate the original anatomy. So it is more difficult to access the crown's tooth. Always. Even for the best endodontists. And sometimes these crowns fracture, so when you go to the clinic, crowns are not part of your competency. So how many times maxillary second premolar has 2 canals? 50%, so there is your canal. Again, you need to know the axis shape of the triangular shape and the anatomy of the canals for the exam. These are just pictures from the last PowerPoint that we gave you, the first lecture. In this class, you don't have to take multiple radiographs because the one for radiograph is long enough. But when in doubt in clinic, take multiple x-rays from mesial, distal, straight up. That answers Brian's question. When he said, how do you look for it, and you take different angles, radiograph for the patient to understand better anatomy. You can't take home here too. So what are some of the techniques to look at canals? Well, you have your DG16. That's the best thing. Some people use sodium hypo under a microscope. You can see a bubbling effect where it dissolves the tissue. That sometimes helps if you are desperate. However, if you are perfing and then you put sodium hypo, you see the bubbling effect too. So you have to remember you are where you should be. I don't use caries detection dye, that never worked for me, or transillumination, but some people do use it. Again, the landmarks, the CEJ, the center of the tooth, and it's so much easier looking with microscope. And sometimes when you find a canal and you don't know where you are, the canal is, you take a different angle radiograph. And if you have a distance all the way to the buccal, lingual, or mesial distal, you know there's more in that to that tooth.
What about EDTA?
EDTA, yes. EDTA is wonderful in decalcifying, chelating agent. I don't use it to remove the smear layer for better success, but I do use it with sodium hypo, EDTA, and then 10 seconds with sodium hypo wash, and then dry it. It removes the smear layer, and you can see with microscope where canals are. That is very helpful. It's so hard with naked eye. I mean, I can't do it. But with microscope, you can see the whole anatomy. It's like removing a dust from the surface. That is great. I think that was one of your quiz, the EDTA question. Yes? Or no? You don't remember? Yeah. You don't need to know how apex locators work, but just for your information, there have been different apex locators. What is that? That is an electronic system, which we love, and you don't have it here. It's about, what? Is it about $1,000?
I think about 700 now.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I think I have a picture. This is how it works. It goes out, and when it goes outside the canal, it goes to touches the PDL. It sends this is a frequency apex locator. So it has a constant resistance at the periodontium, and it sends that information to this mathematical calculation that is in that machine. But it only works if you have latency, which means you have to go outside the tube. Which means what? You have to go out and go slightly back in where your canal is. I do not take an x-ray, but for you guys, you should at the clinic. The only x-ray I take in clinic for me is a cone fit. And I do document that I use a apex locator And I think you should at least take an X-ray. Some endodontists don't take any X-rays, and I think it's a mistake because you never regret taking an X-ray, but you might regret it if you should have and you didn't, in the case. And I know colleagues who have made mistakes. So this is your exfoliator. There's the EDTA that Dr. Resnick was talking about. It dissolves in organic tissue. What does sodium hypo dissolve? Organic tissue. Together, not mixed, but like you use EDTA, you wash that, dry that, then use sodium hypo, it removes the smear layer. Why don't we use just for Maxillary? Because sodium hypo does tissue dissolution. These questions are in your final. There's something here. And the most common intercanal medicament is what? This goes to your poison, I think. Calcium hydroxide. What does it do? It dissolves tissue, it's antimicrobial, but you have to leave it for at least a week. It has a high pH. This slide you need to know. Some people use these irrigation needles that are too big. What good does it do? It doesn't do any good. It doesn't go anywhere. But for God's sake, please do not lodge it. What happens, you do that, this is what happens. And it happens to the best of us. This is terrible. Immediate pain. It's quite embarrassing. The patient is going to jump at you. And it happens almost to all clinicians I know. So we don't want to lodge the needle. And sometimes it happens because the apex is open. Okay. Morphology, dental anatomy. You need to know that, so this is good review for your boards this December. How many times do you have a canal? Again, I think there's only one question on that. Please don't quote me on that. And in all these years I've seen, in 20 years, 20-some years I've done root canals and endodontics. Honestly, I've never had an easy case. There's no such thing. I think dentistry is just for jiffy. There's no easy crown prep, there's no easy patient, there's no easy anything. So do your best, and I'm gonna wear a mask when I talk to you. Hopefully you don't get sick. And those people who got sick, I'm coming after